Hey everybody, how's it going? Nicole Sauce here from Living Free in Tennessee, and John Willis and Blake Spot right now. I'm hoping I did not convey the time zone wrong to Joel Salatin, but he's usually like 5 minutes early to an interview like this, and I haven't seen him yet. So we're just going to talk about the state of the world and take your questions. And if he hops on, we'll bring him on to the show. John, what's new with you this week?
I don't think we have anything new. It's all the same. Everything's starting to grow. Everything's green. We've got plants in raised beds, the aquaponic system. I just put a bunch of cabbage in the floating rafts. Just normal stuff here.
Cool. We had grass grow, which is new for us after last year's experience with the drought. And this is like news from the holler. So the lawnmower, when I went to turn it on, did not turn on. This is not new. This happens every year at this time.
Yep.
And so then we took the battery out. It's like, oh, we need a battery. Go to the store. We get the battery, put it in, and I'm like, it's not going to freaking start because next we're going to be rebuilding the carburetor and like all of the things. It started.
That's good.
Yeah. I was like, whoa, this has never happened to me before in 15 years of homesteading. So apparently, eventually that can happen, guys.
That's cool. So I think we're going to put, do like barley in a little section, sorghum, amaranth, and just kind of do, like 20 by 100 areas.
Yeah.
And just let them grow and see what we can get to grow.
Cool. Have you thought about, I've got an email from Joel. Okay. Yikes. So here's what's going on with Joel. Now I know his computer is not letting him log in to StreamYard, which means we may have to move this to Zoom and do a totally different link, guys. Do you want to do that, John?
Sure. I've never used Zoom. I have no idea.
Okay, hold on. Let me do this. Let me see. I don't know that I can stream to your thing. I'm going to try giving Joel a see if he has a different browser. So have you thought about what you're planting just for your sheep to intermix pasture or what?
Yeah, that's what we'll do it for.
Okay. So weird. I've had him on StreamYard before.
Bob Lester, I was just looking at fodder trees this morning, and most of them appear to not be there. I am not sure where they went or what happened to them. Possibly deer, because they are outside of the fence line. There are some there. And as you know, I bought a bunch more trees later in the year that were 4-footers. And with a 4-foot tree comes a 4-foot root. And I was not able to dig the pocket big enough. So we're getting to the point in time right now where we can probably get small ones. So I'll do that and replant what's missing. How do yours look, Bob?
I don't know how they look. Do you have growth on the fodder trees? You know what? My fodder trees they have leaves on them now, John.
Yeah.
And it is time to start trimming. Like it's my second season with the.
Oh, okay.
Oh, this is Joel calling me. It's my second season. I'm going to let you talk, which means.
Nicole, if you have to, just get on with Joel, and I don't have to be on here. Just make this happen. She can't hear. What's up, guys? Type some stuff out. I haven't looked this spring at our trees. Got it. Do you guys have any suggestion on controlling flies? Man, we use up near the rabbits because there's always a bunch of manure. I use fly catch things, those sticky blocks that hang up, and those work really well. Hit the like button after 30 minutes or so. Switch to Living Free Tennessee. Benchmark, what's up, guys? For you guys that don't know, Benchmark Signs and Gifts makes all the signs that are in our podcast studio. If you have a business or you want something unique for your household for Christmas or something, they can take any logo, any design you have, and make a sign out of it. Very, very nice wood lacquered paint signs. Arkansas, what's up, buddy? Self-Reliance Fest. I'm just reading through these comments here. Rachel Brown here, Pennsylvania, welcome. And Andrea, what's up? Tactical, what's going on? What's your opinion on Texas making gold back? I think it's awesome. I think that every state needs to do something before we are to a point where it's too late to do anything. I think that's great, right? Because we jumped all over Russia, and then we cut them out of the SWIFT system. And then we act surprised that they're doing what they did. I think that Texas should do that. I think that's great. If you haven't heard of a movement called Texit, which is Texas Exit, you should look into that. Jack Spirko had a dude on the show years ago. Well worth listening to. I think you're going to see a lot more of that. Poultry. Yeah, we have poultry, but like in my rabbit area, they really mess up the manure, so I don't let them into that. But he's absolutely right. If you got rabbits and you're not worried about the manure, because the chickens will come in and eat all the rabbit poop. What type of peach trees? You need several different kinds of peach trees, right? So they'll cross-pollinate. We put a bunch of stuff in. I couldn't even tell you what we have. And they all did pretty well until they didn't. And a lot of it's the way we planted them. They'll grow really well for a few years. And then at like year 3, they just get root bound, or the roots just finally rot off. Pink waving hand pink. I'm not sure what that is. South Alabama, what's up? Autumn Down, what's up? Autumn Dawn, how are you? Having trouble with deer hitting your trees, maybe hit up. Yeah, the bone, that would be a good idea. The intention was to contain that area with the fence line. And it might not have been deer, because I don't see deer prints and I don't see deer droppings up there. But we put those trees in and they did well. And then as it warmed up a little, the grass just overtook those things. And when we cut our swales, we did them at 9 feet apart. But at 9 feet, it was still too tight to get the mower in there. And I just never went up there with a string trimmer. I really need to probably redo the swales and put them 12 feet apart so that we can mow in between those things. We got the beans and the I don't remember what kind of beans we put in there, field peas or something. And they came up really well, and the trees came up. But a month or 2 later, when it really heated up, the grass just came in and just took over all of that stuff. Peach trees are usually peach trees. I thought when I planted my peach trees, they recommended another type that I get. I could be wrong on that. Planted our garden inside the greenhouse and then planted outside. So we could totally plant in the greenhouse, but it gets hot to the point we'd have to take it out, or just unskin the greenhouse, unskin the row house, and put the shade cloth over it. Peach trees, also make sure you have some that ripen at different times growing up. We had 17 peach trees. Yeah, so we were getting peaches for a few years. We would pick up, I remember going out there on Friday after everybody left, and we would fill up 3 5-gallon buckets off of peaches. Is the aquaponics undercover? It is undercover so that rain doesn't top it off and change the chemistry of it, dilute it, But we don't ever take care. Like, I've never run a pH test on that. I've got butterfly koi in there. We get them from Atlantic Goldfish, where Jack recommended, off Amazon. I've bought from them 5 or 6 times. The stuff literally shows up the next day via FedEx. And we put butterfly koi in. We just moved butterfly koi last week. And I once caught a fish this big, but they're every bit of 12, 13, 14 inches long in there. And I fill water with evaporation and stuff. I literally just put the hose, which is full chlorinated city water, and I just top it up. And I'll probably add 100 gallons of water at a time, probably, just so when it gets down near or below my intakes on each IBC, I just top it off with the hose. And it might shock the fish a little bit, but we've never had the plants die. We've never had the fish die. Even during the winter, we try to put like a floating stock tank heater and a bigger aquarium heater in there. It's always undergunned because we don't have walls on the area where it is, so we can't really heat it. So our blocks and our IBC totes, our water freezes into solid ice cubes every year. And when it unfreezes, the fish are still there, ready to go. Atlanta Goldfish. Just search butterfly koi, Andrea, on Amazon, and you'll find them. They've got snails and all kinds of stuff. I bought water hyacinth, I think came from them this last year also. I bought 3 little plants and it took over multiple IBC toads. We were just pulling it out, and giving it to the chickens and the rabbits. Now, if you leave it out like on the ground, if you started with 100 pounds, once it dries in a couple days, you might have a pound of it. Most of it is water weight, but we never let it in the big pond back there. But I don't think it would have made it. I think through the winter, it wouldn't have made it because it didn't make it in the IBC toads. Had the pleasure interviewing Joe. Oh, that's cool, Jody. That's very cool. Greenhouse usually runs about 20 to 40 warmer than the outside temperature during the daytime. What'd you do? I don't know what your greenhouse looks like. So we have a row house, right? Which is just open on both ends, but we made walls for them. So we could put fans up. We put big roll across sliding doors. We actually fabbed those. And we made our entrance big enough that we could put the skid steer inside if we ever needed to, just with the thought we could have guys camp in there if we needed to. We could pull vehicles under cover there and work on them or use it for storage or anything because we don't plant in the ground. Everything we have in there is raised beds, and our raised beds are on wheels, which seemed like a really good idea, which it was. But once you fill those up and you're actually watering and growing plants, they are very, very heavy. Sitting in Rogue's corporate office and dude walked by with an SOE multicam close back. Bob, spread the gospel, buddy. That is awesome, man. That is awesome. I want to be friends with the Rogue guys. I have a Rogue rack right here. I use chlorinated tap water for my goldfish and shrimp breeding. People seem to overstate the effect. I think so. Like, I'm sure it's chemicals. I have fluval tanks here, and I've kept aquatic fish all my life. I had 6 or 7 little micro cubes, 5-gallon tanks in here, and I was keeping cichlids. Right now, I have 1 tank. It is completely overgrown with algae, and the only reason I still have it going is because I have a little clown plecostomus in there, and when I come upstairs and I hear the pump screaming, right, which is probably not a good idea. I mean, I think the potential for fire is probably there. I just take a bowl and fill it up with like 2 gallons of water right out of the sink. But there's crust all around the ring of the aquarium and stuff. And I think that's probably the chemicals that are there from the city water. I never neutralize the water. I never do anything with it. Bob's messaging me a picture here. Bob, who messaged me this morning at 5 o'clock and is like, hey, my 8-year-old just finished his workout and cardio. Did he beat you up? The answer is yes. He did beat me to the workout this morning. He did, in fact. With that said, I was working yesterday morning, started at 2:30 a.m. So yes, the 8-year-old did beat me to the gym this morning. But I look really, really good. So as will the 8-year-old. How's the pull-ups going, Bob? I know you said that that's your goal. You're going to be doing pull-ups by Christmas. Aurora Rings, what's up? If you guys haven't ever seen Aurora Rings there, he's got an awesome Instagram page, and he makes highly custom rings and pendants and stuff. And he will take things that are important to you and put them into epoxy. And then he also has things you can buy already on his site. Amazing craftsman. Even if you have no interest in the product, it's neat to watch a craftsman and their skill. And he does a lot of that on Instagram. You guys should check him out there. And Andrea, thank you so much for participating in our membership area. You are always there with the first question, and it's always gives us something to think and build content around for sure. And we appreciate you. Not first responder, responder 1, right on. So responder 1, that's a refuse medical class, right? Those little pumps can get real hot. I think you're right, man. Well, I know you're right. Absolutely. Those little fluval pumps. And the fluval aquariums are super cool. They're very neat little biocubes and stuff. And dead air. All right, guys, we'll see if we're getting him on or how this is going to go here. If need be, I'll duck out and she can run this interview with him. Here we go.
You are.
Well, hello.
And there I am.
Here we are.
Here we are. Okay, I'm going to hang up.
Okay. Tactical, if you're listening to this, I have your phone if you want to watch the stream. Welcome, Joel. How's it going today, Joel Salatin?
Well,
can you hear me?
All right. It's going good. Got a beautiful. I can. Beautiful day up here. Yeah.
Excellent.
Gorgeous.
Okay. Well, welcome to the Tuesday Alive with, I'm Nicole Sauce. As you know, this is John Willis, who I don't think you have met him once at Rogue Food in Tennessee. And he walked up to you and introduced him and said, sometime we're going to do something together. I don't know when, but I just wanted to introduce myself. Do you remember that? We have a delay.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people. Hi, John. Nice to see you, my friend. Yeah.
What he said is, I will be on the lookout for it. That's what he said.
Great. So for the three people on this live stream,
thanks for the warning.
That's right.
Something like that. So for the three people on the live stream who don't know who Joel Salatin is, do you want to give us like the quick summary? If somebody's going to say, tell me about yourself today, what would be the thing that Joel Salatin of April 11th, 2023 would tell us?
So I'm a Christian, libertarian, environmentalist, capitalist, lunatic farmer. And our family's been here on the farm for since 1961. And we own Polyface Farms in Virginia's Shenandoah Valley. And we're in the livestock business, the non-chemical business, and the direct marketing business. So we raise without chemicals. We direct market everything, a branded, product. And we're all about resiliency and building a parallel universe.
Parallel. It's not just a parallel economy, guys. It's a parallel universe. I have really enjoyed working with Joel Salatin on the Rogue Food Conference, and then sort of indirectly through our mutual friend Neethi. But I think knowing how much you care about resilience and people building resiliency into their lives, and the way that I know you raise livestock and have integrated regenerative practices into everything that you do. What do you think about what is going on in our culture and society right now? Like when you see all of the things that have happened in the last 12 to 24 months, what do you start thinking about?
Well, I'm thinking we're on the brink of some great disturbance. And when you're in a very disturbing, I'm being very gentle and diplomatic here. I feel like the wheels are falling off, and the whole homestead tsunami is very real. I mean, people are jumping out of the city, fleeing the city, up the wazoo, because there's an intuitive understanding. If the wheels are going to fall off, I don't want to be in the city. I want to be where I can have a garden, some chickens, shoot a deer, or a creek, and have some firewood, and kind of do it yourself. And so, yeah, I think we're in a strange place on many fronts. And COVID, of course, certainly brought out a lot of it. The war in Ukraine is bringing out a lot of it. The rumbling of Taiwan is bringing a lot about, and the fecklessness, the total fecklessness. Well, the fecklessness to do what it should do, but the aggression to do what it shouldn't do, are juxtaposed in direct contrast. More than I've ever seen in my lifetime, and so. the phrase that I hear all the time is people ask me, I just want to disentangle. I feel like things are out of control. I don't want to be in control of them. How do I disentangle from the system? That's what I'm hearing. And that's the refrain. I feel like the whole culture. Have you ever, Nicole? Have you ever up by the back door, and those wasps are just sitting there, back porch, and you happen to just bump, kind of bump it with handle, and suddenly that whole wasp nest is, and I mean, they're just planes on an aircraft carrier. And that's like a lot of us who are kind of, our eyes are open and we're seeing what's going on. I feel like that we're like that wasp nest that's been bumped, and we're all just kind of that alert. We're not sure what the next step is, but we're alert. Things are up, our radar's on, and we're
Yeah. So I'm not sure if the internet issues are on Joel's side or my side right now, because my internet's looking like it's being bouncy too. But yeah, the wasp nest analogy is a really good one. And I think I'd like to add a layer to that. What I see going on in the world is like there's that angry piece, right? And it's a dangerous angry piece. Nobody wants to get stung by 100,000 wasps who are mad because you bumped their nest. But at the same time, there's this underlying feeling among some people of hopelessness. So I don't go to grocery stores very often, but I decided I really wanted some cashews. And I decided on Good Friday would be a great time to go into a grocery store and buy some cashews. And it turns out that everybody and their brother goes shopping on Good Friday in preparation of Easter dinner. And in contrast with other times I've been in the grocery store, there was a lot of unspoken angst and a feeling of hopelessness as people were trying to find the things that they wanted to feed to their families. And I just thought, this is a mood that's out there. And I've been completely insulated from it because I don't go to grocery stores or really out in those environments very often. And so I almost feel like not only do you have the angry level of the wasp nest, but you have a big pool of people saying, I don't know what to do. Do you get a lot of that I don't know what to do questioning when you run across people, Joel?
Oh, last year, for the first time ever, we had a parade. I mean, a daily parade of recreational vehicles, RVs, coming by the farm. Family would get out. And van, we rented this RV for a month, and we're going to the U.S. We don't land yet. We're going to land somewhere. It's going to be different, and we're looking tribe. We're looking for freedom. We're looking for liberty. And that's what they're looking for. And so proceed for Nicole on this idea of hopelessness. Yeah. If you and I want of stuff that we're angry and frustrated about, we could make a list. Okay. But the key to flourishing, take that list and say, well, answer to this, and then a true becomes hopeless and helpless. You and I and John and others, that we will be able to offer haven of hope and help becomes hopeless and helpless. We're not just actually positive. You can't run away. Run away in you. Embrace something. That we offer, we offer hope. The ark. We're in an ark, and you know what? But you know what? I've got this ark going on, and if you stop me from my ark and argue about whether or not it's raining, I don't have time to wait. I'm sorry. On my ark. The only way I can lead is to get on. And if you don't think it's raining, then sorry, but I'm going to go to my ark, and that's where we've got to be.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. And Joel, we're having a little bit of a video delay, and I'm wondering if you can look at your computer, and down at the bottom you'll see a little mute mic thing and a stop cam button. I think if you stop your video camera, we may get good audio from you, and it might stop some of the. Thank you for doing that. Yeah, I really think that when people come to me feeling hopeless, that's part of why I like making the Self-Reliance Festival accessible to people and keeping the price point where we have it right now. Because some people have put everything they can into getting that 75 to 95 bucks together. They've packed food in their car, and they come out and they're feeling hopeless, and they pose the question to somebody who says, okay, well, here's a list of all the things you can't change that are indeed going on in the world, and it's scary. These are the things you can control. Do those things, and then if these other things affect you, you are better prepared to handle that. And I think, I mean, coming from a farming perspective, I tend to feel a little more secure, even though I know, people could come take over the things that are here. I feel a little more secure in that I've already made a chicken, a baby chick into a big chicken into food. And a lot of people are now just starting with this idea of, well, I know the chicken I grow at the store starts as an egg. And if I'm responsible for getting it from egg to table, what do I do? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I had a fast conversation recently with two special forces 2 months away from a military service, bless them. And but they were special ops guys, and they were, they were thinking that things are going to get rocky. He said, as far as they could see, there were kind of Idaho or Wyoming mountain man, and the other kind of community. My encouragement for everybody has been, more important plan is to get proximate geographically and relationally. If you are friends and nearby, but as we're far more interested in the community idea, build and grow, than being a mountain man. Just didn't appeal to the wild. Interesting thing was that we all agreed that both of those scenarios can't be done overnight. You could go live in a cave and be a mountain man, but you're going to have to learn how to trap and make rope out of sinew. All those survival techniques. that none of this happens overnight. So the sooner you start, all mastery requires repetition. Repetition requires time to master. And so the sooner you can begin experimenting and repeating experiments and becoming a master of something, the sooner that you will have a skill or an ability that can be utilized within a tribal context. That might be a small engine mechanic, plumber, electric. I mean, all the trades. The trades are desperate for people today. We are so far down on the trades. It's because cheap government help going to college. Half the people in college shouldn't be there and shouldn't even have gone in the first place. And so the trades, the vocations are big. Anyway, Doug Casey, who does the International Man podcast, he recently had a interesting take. He was likening the brewing hurricane in our country, that on economic and health and environment, all sorts of elements. We're heading into a hurricane, and so he said, when you're heading to a hurricane shelter, that's where you ride out a hurricane, and you wait for it to pass, then you come out. And he said point blank, he said, the hurricane shelter for economic and societal hurricane, the shelter for that hurricane, the best shelter is a farm. Yep. A farm or a homestead, someplace where you can, feed yourself and you can be around other people. Even if you understand the importance of a garden, if all of your neighbors in your subdivision, all they can do is watch Netflix and buy fashion clothes, they're not going to be a help. They're going to be a hindrance to you. Yep. As a hurricane shelter. You need to be around people who share understanding of how to grow, fix, and things, so that you've got a true shelter around you.
Yeah, I think that's right on. John Willis, do you want to say something about that?
Well, I was going to say what Paul said there. Anything worth doing well is worth doing poorly at first, right? That came from Joel. I think that if you look at every week, it's a new chaos, right? There's this thing's going to get us. This is going to get us this. I think it's by design, because when we are operating out of fear, you are not able to rest, right? It's like those bees. They're always buzzing and they're just literally wearing themselves out. Whereas if you remove the fear and you operate on things that you can actually accomplish, if you turned off social media, you wouldn't know what are our talking points this week, right? And when we're busy buzzing and talking about something in the negative, then we don't accomplish anything, right? Our plants are not planted, our chickens are not hatched. And I think a lot of that is by design. I think if a lot of people cut out or just remove the focus on the negative, imagine what we could actually accomplish.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I think also the point we always come back to in these discussions is, if you're not building your community, you're hurting your strength. Because what has happened over my lifetime, what I've seen is that when I grew up, we were like a tight rural community where I grew up. And if somebody needed help, whether or not you liked them in the neighborhood, you would get help. And what happened was all of these artificial government constructs just increased in power and divided us. And I mean the government schools, where I grew up, the smart city revolution was in full bore, because I'm from Oregon. And so when we talk about 15-minute cities, I'm like, I know exactly what that looks like, because they were starting to put the borders in when I left, about this notion that in these cities you live and you work and you have these mixed use communities, and nobody ever has to travel very far. And it was spun as an environmental benefit because you don't have to travel as far. And I get that. If you're not having to drive 400 miles to get you the proper feed for your chickens, that's way better. But the reality is people work where they get jobs if they're going to have a job. And if the choice is leave this little pod and go make money, or don't make enough money to feed my family this week, they're going to go outside of that situation. So it just created this horrible snarl and increased the pollution output of the city to make it smart, versus if they had just let it naturally grow. So in that process, what I saw is that it was no longer tight neighborhoods where even if you didn't like people, you helped them. And the thing that I find the most encouragement from right now is that many people are starting to see that and realize, I'm going to build my tribe around me. And when I build that tribe, it's going to be real community, and we are going to get over our differences and focus on the things that are important. So anyway.
Yeah, and what's in, and so that's why some of us are people. One of the best things that you can do is to one of the best things you can do is reduce your dependency on. How do you reduce your dependency on the economy? You start doing it yourself. You fix your own clothes. You grow you harvest your own water off your roof into a cistern.
Yeah, I think that's right on. Okay. Oh, sorry, there was a delay. I interrupted.
Oh, well, and so I don't know if you guys are up on the one may do daily is read the whole.
I think it cut out again, Joel, so we didn't hear. You asked if we were up on something, and I don't know what the something was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hit some in 5-year poll, 19 who you very so patriotism, 62% down to 30, 59% down to 30%, 2% to 27%. Only one was money. And so what that shows is we have as a culture, we are from things, patriotism, religion, children, community, those four things. And that is driving a materialistic culture, which is what if things are heading into dysfunction. What you want is the other four values not decreasing. And I've had numerous, talks, but it's quite an amazing statistic. A lot of them that have been accused of being, capitalists and running the country into the ground and we thought we were raising a new generation of people who cared and who thought more about community and relationships than money. And here it turns that our move toward this dependency, just like what you described, Nicole, these supposedly planned unit development supposed to be all walkable dependency except with more money.
Yeah. I think that the dependency that's created with those communities and the false sense of community that's created falls apart when somebody really needs help. And I mean, one of the best things about moving from Oregon to Tennessee for me is I discovered a world that was like Oregon 25, 30 years ago here, where community still functions as community, but in the tearing down and creating the dependencies that has happened, they've, the powers that be, whoever they are, have set it up so that it's a much easier sell to instill controls, because it is now my right to care about what my neighbor does in their personal life. We've been set up to sort of have this empowered judgment on other people's personal choices and opinions. And now people feel like they need to force other people to change rather than invite people to consider new ideas and make a real change. It makes me think of in situations where there is religion at the core of a war, where one faith is taking over another area and instilling their faith in that area, and your choice is get tortured and die, or embrace whatever whatever that religion is that is being instilled. People will choose to convert, but is that a real conversion? I don't think so. And that's why when you see examples of that happening, you see that a whole bunch of people converted to whatever, and then eventually it fell apart. Why? Because they didn't really convert. They just said the words. And that's what I see a lot going on right now too.
Well, and for sure that happened in Y2K. I was involved. I spoke as a whatever, an outside guru, I guess you could say, to these Y2K communities, and I mean, I went to one. I went to one, and everybody got together, and they bought this, whatever, 150 acre farm, and they were going to have whatever 50 families living on this 150 acre farm. This is going to be the final redoubt. This was the agrarian bunker. The agrarian bunker, and I'm looking in that room, and there's everything from women with head coverings and dresses only to spandex tank tops, and I'm looking at them saying, you're never going to survive, because all you're doing is fleeing. You're running away from something. You're not really embracing a long-term thing here. And of course they didn't. And I think that's what's healthy, or that's what I'm trying to make sure doesn't happen now. You may know a manuscript for a new book. The title is Homestead Tsunami, Good for Country, Critters, and Kids. And the point of this is to try to make sure that this wonderful, wonderful home hijacked by fear. It needs, and actually embrace, corrective actions. We're going to reduce materialism, use social media, and as a real visceral and practical response to bring something positive to the culture that's spun out of control.
Yeah. The other thing I saw that you put out was you put out a digital course on homesteading that I thought was pretty cool. I just put a link to farmlikealunatic.com, which I think it's a good place to find that course. And when I saw you doing that, I was like, right on, because the biggest barrier when people are like, oh, gee, hey, I think I want to change this lifestyle. I want to move towards homesteading. They have sort of this romanticized vision of what that's like. And then they jump in and they discover it's not what they thought it was, which is not a surprise when you try something new. But I think having a course like that somebody can take helps set them up for success, so that they learn from the mistakes that you and other teachers have already come across. You know, like I know I have built 4 different chicken tractors in my life, all of different designs, and I burned 2 of them in place because I made them so heavy I couldn't move them, right? So I made one that wasn't strong enough and predators got in, and then I made a really strong one that 3 people had to come to move the thing, and I do not have a tractor. So I've made a lot of homesteading mistakes. Yeah, exactly. And then the one I ended up making, I went to John Willis's, and he has one that's made out of PVC, and it's sort of like your low to the ground design. I made that taller because the person who helps me on my homestead is 6'4" and does not like to stoop over. And it works great. We can move it, and occasionally it needs a repair. And I wish I had seen other designs for tractors or learned from somebody who did all the mistakes I did, because it would have totally shortcutted it.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to experiment. And I'm a big fan of experiment and you know, trying different things, trying new things, seeing what works for you. Book Pastured Poultry Profit. The number one mistake people.
We were just about to learn the number 1 mistake, and I think that the audio cut out. So he's going to have to tell us that again.
The number 1 mistake, portable chicken. They're not sheep. They're chickens. And so the only way to really is
Man, I really want to know.
I know, I want to know too, and it cut out again. So when Joel is back, we'll ask him again.
Oh, am I not there?
Yeah, you went away again. So you were telling us the number 1 mistake people make with the portable chicken tractor, and then it just cut out. Yeah.
Is the number 1 mistake people make is they make them too heavy. And to be able to so and
yeah, it is definitely easy to make them too heavy, and then you don't move it, and then the chickens stay where they should be longer than they should be there. But yeah, I think courses like that are really important. Let's sort of shift focus here, Joel. I think I may ask if we can have you back on and try this through Zoom on a different day, because your computer and the system are not getting along very well, and we'll see if we can troubleshoot some of these internet issues. So hopefully you heard that, and we can make that happen. So as I understand it, you're going to come to Camden, Tennessee in October, right?
I listen to my elders.
So something that's really cool that Joel Salatin's involved in is the Rogue Food Conference, and I think that's going to be at Polyface Farm on May 13th. Can you tell us a little bit about why the Rogue Food Conference exists, and sort of how that got started and what you hope to accomplish with it?
Well, sure. So several years ago, well, as you know, Nicole and John, one of my favorite books is everything I want to do. Everything I want to do is illegal.
Yep.
Yeah, and things that do, but regulations. I mean, like I can go out and cut and put on my sawmill that wood into a because making a chair is so you got all, I mean, this is food regulations. It's all sorts of. I approached my friend Rudy. We need to do a conference to highlight and chase people who have basically said, I'm going to do it anyway in a culture, and most fall apart. They go through a period of tyranny. As powerful of things starting to slip, right now, boy, you can sure pass more laws, and so there comes a time as a strategy, convention becomes more efficient, actually, more bang for your buck. Clients for years, as I've spoken around the world and around the US, I get done, and the first question is, butcher chickens in the backyard. Is it legal to a quiche and visitors come to your farm? I mean, it's stuff. And smart people are out runs around the it was in February of 2020, right before all the lockdown, did the first Natty, and it was it was like it was for a day. People didn't want to leave. Seen here.
Well, his internet just said goodbye. Maybe if he logs back on, we'll get him back. So he was just telling the story of the first Rogue Food Conference, which was February 20. Oh, here he's
back. Neethi Bala, speaker as well with her food church, Carolina. We've had all sorts of private membership association. John. We've got we've got the guy in Oregon that
the Bog, I
and
think,
yes, Bog. I mean, he keeps the guts and lets you have the meat. processes the animal for the guts, and then you take the meat away. I mean, there's a bunch of these different kinds of, even you can the internet and give away the meat. And so there's a lot of cleverness coming on here. And so we're trying to showcase that to impact. In 3 years we've been doing of a day the country, people are a little bit of convention, and it looks like in the next couple new innovative creative people to feature on these Rogue Food Conference to let people know have to bow.
Yeah, I think it's really important.
Yeah, people have this mentality, when now, no, you don't have to talk to them. You don't have to open the door to them. You don't have to bow. You don't. That is really critical. Conference is all about, and we invite people to come and you'll never another day than at a Rogue.
So that, guys, is May 12th and 13th at Polyface Farm. And if you want to check out that event, it is roguefoodconference.com. And they end up having a farm tour day. There's often a workshop in advance. I think there's one this time. And then Joel does a farm tour. I'm sure he's doing that. It looks like he's doing that this time. And then on Saturday, it's like a bunch of people telling stories of how they started something. The government came and said, "We're from the government. We're here to help you," which is not good. And they found creative ways around the "you can't do that" thing. And I think when I work with small startups or people who want to start something new, the biggest, often the first question is, well, is it legal what I want to do? Yeah. And, if they're not murdering children or something, you're just like making cupcakes or something. Do you care if it's legal is the first question I ask. And then ask your house, how do I do this so I don't get in trouble is a different question rather than can I do it? Stop asking permission and start doing it. And actually, the shirt you're wearing right now is perfect for that, John. What's your shirt say?
It takes zero talent to hustle. But along the lines, Nicole, we spend more time policing our own, right? When we put an idea out, 1,000 of our own peers tell us all the things that are going to happen. Well, if we all just did it, they wouldn't have time to enforce any of it, right? We just worry so much. If we would just act instead of ask, man, imagine what we could accomplish.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that. I mean, I'm thinking of mask mandates. If everybody, I almost got arrested a couple times. I stopped the lines a few times at the airport. They'd say, hand me your ID. I said, well, have you sent since you handled the last, person's ID? Well, no. Well, you and touch it coming back, and then take down your face mask. I'll get germs on it. It's got, getting on it, and meanwhile the lines. Now they're calling managers and all this stuff. This guy stuff, and the fact is that if
it's allowed versus able.
Yeah.
Yeah, the entire thing. And we've had our showdowns we had with the food police, inspection people. It took a week. And when it was all done, the guy came into the house he said, if we couldn't begin to do this. And I felt so good. I had kept him away from other people for a whole week, him up here for a pushing back and and calling my elected and and so uh you probably assault them, but you just let them run over you either. And I think to make tyranny earn, they should have to earn their steps, not just get them working for it.
Yeah. So in the drama of rural internet, my internet company just drove up and the guy's walking over on the side of the house where my internet service comes in. So if I disappear, it's because they decided without telling me to do something to my internet because they've been putting in fiber here for weeks now or months. So I'm going to laugh if that is what happens in the middle of this stream full of rural internet challenges. Yeah, it's funny how people need to see other people stand up and then they are willing to stand up. And if they don't see people stand up, then they're not willing to stand up. And that was really brought home to me in the COVID environment, because once one person stopped wearing masks in the grocery stores, other people felt empowered to do it, or people would take their masks off and smile at each other. And it's amazing how much better we all get along if we can see the I'm not going to kill you look on your face rather than I am going to kill you, or big eyes that look scared. Yeah. So that was it. I admire you, Joel, for standing up, because you've been standing up for much longer than most people. Is my internet working?
Yes. It is.
Okay, good. Everybody froze for a minute for me, including you, John. So I'm sure that's on my side. So, and that's why
some people.
I was going to say, Joel, that's why, I don't know if you remember this, but it was about 2 years ago at a Rogue Food Conference. I asked you what your speaker fee was, and you told me, and I thought, okay, now I have a goal. Let's get an event together where we can bring Joel Salatin in, and this is the scope of the budget that we need to think about. And it took 5 of them to get up and ready with a big enough community supporting it. But this time, we're ready to do it. So you're coming out to Self-Reliance Festival in October, which is an event I put on with John Willis at his factory. And I'm super excited. It only took me 2 years to get ready for Joel Salatin to be there. But that means that people who are there in person will not have internet issues, so we can hear everything that Joel Salatin says when he says it. But also, we get to ask you to speak about anything we want you to speak about, right, Joel?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's all okay. And I can't tell you how excited I am to be with both of you and everyone else who's going to come to it. This is going to be, this is just another of this undercurrent. I don't know if Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab and Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, I don't know if they're on their radar. I really don't know, but I don't really care, and I'm just so excited to see the self-reliant all over the country. It used to be sustainable was the deal, but this is deeper, much just we're not going to use chemicals. This is we're gonna barter, and we're gonna trade skills, we're gonna build community, and we're gonna build a parallel universe. We're gonna do herbology. I mean, it's a much build the the homeschooling movement, which was dedicated to education. You know, we've had pieces of this over time. We had the Earth movement, the breastfeeding babies. That's Neanderthal and barbaric, and so we've seen pieces of this coming back. But I think that this kind of homestead self-reliance movement, comprehensive, it to food, to health, to energy, and broader. It's a much broader platform.
Yeah, it is. It is a much broader platform. And if I interrupt you, it's just because the internet glitched out again. So my apologies. I think the cool thing about all of these festivals, from Rogue Food Conference, Self-Reliance Festival, the Exit and Build Land Summit, Paul Wheaton's got a big old festival up in Montana in July, Squatch Fest in Washington State. All of these things that are starting to happen they're going interdisciplinary. They're going for self-defense, self-reliance, homesteading, homeschooling, health and fitness, nutrition, all of these different topics, getting back to foundational things, like doing foundational things like plumbing or blacksmithing or knife sharpening, things that we've stopped doing for ourselves because we didn't need to anymore. Relearning the forgotten skills, as our friend Louise Milliman would say, and more importantly, connecting people. And that's something that I think at this coming Self-Reliance Festival, on day 2, I usually do this thing from the stage where I have people raise their hands and connect with each other. And we have people from all over the country. I'll be like, raise your hand if you don't know anybody here from near you, from your state, and hands will go up. I'll say, what state are you from? And they'll say, Montana. And then I'll say, raise your hand if you're here from Montana. And 4 other hands will go up. And I'll say, okay, look at each other and go talk right now. This time we're doing that on day 1. So they have the second day to talk to each other. Because what's surprising to me is I don't know where everybody's going to come to this from going in. But I do know this.
Right.
They are driven by the same passion to connect, to create a parallel society, and to find people near them they can work with, as well as reach over the borders. And usually we get enough that I don't think we've ever had one person from one place where we were not able to connect them with other people. We always make jokes when somebody's like California. We're like, hey, you're on your own, man.
Well, let me tell you that is absolutely the advantage. Kinds of things you can say, oh man, yes, that's a big investment. Time to go and get. Let me tell you, it's the best investment. Connecting with people who have your back is the best investment you can ever make. And if it means, listen, I mean, I'm getting chill bumps even saying this. If you could 1K plan and convert to 5 people living near you who you knew, encourage you, take care of if you were sick, take care of your bills if you were sick, rebuild your barn if it burnt down, bring firewood to your house if you broke a leg. But if you could trade your 401k for that kind of commitment, I'm convinced that a lot would make that trade today. But it's out there. It's kind of nebulous. How do you put that together? And that's where these conferences are so valuable, because you can't just do this together. I can look you in the eye. I can feel your vibe. I can say, now, that person there I get it. And so we are very social, are very social beings. Us who feel separated need our social, our interactive network. It's now, because right now the divisions in this country and the efforts to to enslave us, to shackle us, to dependency on government, dependency on doctors, dependency on hospitals, health care systems, the economy, whatever it is, those shackles are getting tighter and tighter by the day. Had a day, we've never had a time where that human interface has become such an antidote to the shackles that society is trying to put around us.
I think you're right on. And I'm really excited that you were able to make time. I'm thankful that Homesteaders of America was willing to let you leave a little bit early so that you could come to both festivals. And I'd like to write a little thing up for you to pass on my behalf, because I think it's important. We actually have people, some of our event coordinators are going to be at HOA and they're not coordinating the event this time because that's such a cool festival too. And I was like, but she cross-trained somebody at the last one, so it's fine. But I'm very thankful for that. Yeah. And I'm excited that we get to see you do a chicken processing demonstration on Monday morning. After that, we'll be doing a workshop. There's going to be a ham radio training workshop Thursday and Friday, Self-Reliance Festival Saturday, Sunday, and then the chicken processing demo from Joel. Plus, right after that, we will do some hands-on stations. Chef Brett and I are going to then actually walk people through the processing of chickens. We're going to free Joel up to get to the airport for his flight on Monday. And some of the people are going home with their chickens, depending on how many sign up. Not maybe everybody gets a chicken, but I think it's going to be really cool to add that. And I think once you learn how to process a chicken and cut it up into its parts, even though I usually just cook a whole chicken, that skill applies to sheep and pigs and deer. Those animals are all a little bit different, but pretty much what you're doing is the same thing. And that's your first step towards being able to go from an egg to dinner. That's not scrambled eggs. That's a really important thing. And I usually will go over how raising the chicken went, if we were buying feed from external sources, what that price was, and how I sourced those things so that people can see, like, this is the whole process of raising the chicken. And I know Joel can talk more about that than I can. I think you were raising chickens before I was even thinking I might do a homestead one day.
Yeah, I had my first chickens when I was 10, which would have been 1967. So you might not have even been born then yet. So
I was actually, in fact, not born yet. I was about to be born.
Yeah. So very, very cool. These festivals truly are an empowerment for folks, and it never ceases to amaze me how intimidating things that I've grown up with, whether it's butchering chickens or canning vegetables, even planting a garden, making hay, milking a cow, churning butter. I mean, this is the way we lived, but thing. And so to get people over the yes, I can do this. You're right. Everything else just flows from that. And so thank you for slogging this on actually be this big and a help for folks that are conditions intentionally of of a different, a different way to live and a different way to eat and a different way to do health and educate and invest and all the different things. Yeah, it's good.
Awesome. Well, I think we've been on about an hour, and I thought we would just go once around the horn and tell people how to get in touch with each of our brands. Joel, why don't you tell us first the best way for people to connect with you?
All right. Well, have any personal social media space at all. Everything is through the farm. The less I exist, the better. So it's Polyface Farms, and the website is very comprehensive. It has my speaking, everything from you to come to events and gatherings and whatever. So polyfacefarms.com is our comprehensive website. I do a blog that's musings of the Lunatic Farmer, and do a podcast, Beyond Labels, with Dr. Sina McCullough, who is my co-author on the book of that title. So there's a lot there, but personally, I don't even have a smartphone, and I'm not on social media at all personally. So I'm trying to careful balance between using it and buy it.
That is right on. I totally understand not having social media presence and all of that. And especially with, I know like we do videos from here, and I find like when I'm videoing a thing, it takes me twice or 3 times as long to do the thing. So there's always that balance between if I spend time there, I'm not spending time here. So totally understandable. And I know if people want to talk to you in person, one of the best things about Joel Salatin when he speaks at events, I've seen him at multiples. He goes to the event and you can walk up to him and shake his hand and talk to him, and he will listen to what you say. He doesn't just do what we call show up and throw up. He comes and he's there. And I think that is a huge value when somebody who has a lot to share with us, the presentation may cover some things you wonder about, but you may have another question totally off topic. You wait till after you go introduce yourself, you ask the question, and maybe you've learned something that you would not have been able to learn on a podcast or anywhere else. So thanks, Joel, for being with us. John, why don't you tell people how to connect with you?
Special Operations Equipment's the name of my company. SOE Tactical Gear. We're on every platform there is. I do a live feed every night at 9 o'clock. You can jump on. We can talk about anything that you want to talk about.
Yep. And I am at livingfreeintennessee.com. And if you are interested in coming to the Self-Reliance Festival, it is October 14th and 15th, Saturday and Sunday. And it's selfreliancefestival.com. We just launched early bird tickets today. We have added the poultry processing workshop, and I'm expecting the ham radio workshop to be up there soon. We will be announcing all of the speakers as they roll out. So keep checking back to selfreliancefestival.com to see who's coming. Joel, thank you so much for making time. And I hope you have some fun stuff to do on your farm this afternoon.
I do. I got to move some cows and do some other stuff. Thank you so much for having me on. And I can't wait to visit with you in Tennessee in October.
Awesome.